Throughout the majority of my life, or more so the entirety of my life, I've seen at least 3 or 4 different generations of consoles released. Everything between the PS2 and Xbox era to now the PS5 and Xbox Series X era, and all the other Nintendo properties in between. All different consoles from different companies, but the main thing that always separated these consoles, in my opinion, was their exclusives. Console exclusives have always been the main purpose of buying different consoles to begin with. I'll say secondary to that is software. If you wanted to play an Infamous game or a Sly Cooper game, you would go to PlayStation. If you want to play the newest Mario Kart or Legend of Zelda, you would go to Nintendo. Back then, the consoles that they had to produce those was mainly the GameCube and the Wii. Now, if you wanted to play games like Halo or Gears of War, you would then go to Xbox. Between Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, I've owned consoles and video games from all 3 properties. So me, I had the opportunity to dip my hand in different exclusives. Now, people on the internet and kind of in real life has always joked about the whole console war thing, which console is better than the other one, which one makes the best games. So much so, there were people who were like die-hard loyalists to some of these gaming companies. Like, I promise you, there are Xbox players who probably never picked up a PlayStation a day in their life, and vice versa. There are Xbox players who probably never played any of the Nintendo games. There are PlayStation players who never played any of the Xbox games. And there are Nintendo players who probably never played any PlayStation games. Now me, I've always wondered what would happen if one of these gaming companies, or if all of them per se, decided to share their exclusives with other companies. Like, imagine playing Mario Sunshine on Xbox. That sounds fun as hell. The reason why I'm saying all this is because recently we've been given the opportunity to see this idea become a reality. For those of y'all who don't know, Gears of War is officially coming to PlayStation this August. Titled Gears of War Reloaded, this version of Gears of War is the story of Gears of War 1 but told in a more cinematic sense. It's basically the Ultimate Edition of Gears of War, but it's being sent off to PlayStation in a more advanced way. While the Ultimate Edition is basically the definitive edition of the first game, which was released on the Xbox One, the reloaded version of the game was now updated to meet the standards of PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X consoles, meaning more improvements in both graphics and audio. Now, this is a huge deal because with Gears of War and Halo, those two are like the forefront games of Xbox exclusives. Even though the Master Chief and Halo is still the mascot of Xbox, Gears of War is like a very close second. If I were to compare it to a PlayStation series, I would compare it to Infamous. Because God of War is the face of PlayStation, but I think a pretty close second to God of War was the Infamous games. I'd put them over Jack, Sly, and Ratchet and Clank. Well, actually, no. I don't know if it's as big or bigger than Ratchet and Clank, but it's still a pretty big deal. So imagine if PlayStation decided to give Xbox either Infamous or Ratchet and Clank. Now, me as a person who's played the Gears of War series, I'm really happy for PlayStation players. The way people talk about the Halo trilogy, 1 through 3, that's the same way I look at it with Gears of War. Gears of War 1 through 3 was a great story told. Great gameplay, great multiplayer, great game modes, but the story specifically was amazing. And each one kind of had its own theme. I felt like Gears of War 3 was kind of action hero-y, while Gears of War 1 was more horror based, and Gears of War 2 was more depressing. Each game telling a story of this who knows how long war between humanity and the Locusts. For the PlayStation players who never touched it, they're in for one hell of a story. Now, there's a number of reasons as to why I'm excited for this to happen, and I'm gonna tell you why. Sometime last year, a trailer for the newest Gears of War was released. It was titled Gears of War E-Day. It's a prequel that describes the events of Emergence Day, which, for the people who've never played it, is the beginning of the war for the Locusts and the humans. Now me, I love Gears of War, probably in like my top 5 or top 10 favorite series of all time. It's the main reason why I own an Xbox. However, there's one problem. I don't own a Series X or an S. When the new generation of consoles came out, I ended up getting a PS5. That's like the latest next gen console that I have. I didn't get an X or an S. I got a P5. The latest edition of Xbox that I have is an Xbox One. I can't play E-Day on that shit. My console will explode. And for the longest after that trailer came out, I thought to myself, damn man, I'm gonna have to spend a good portion of money to get an Xbox Series X or an S just so I can play E-Day. I was thinking about getting an S because it's cheaper, but I didn't want to spend the money to begin with. However, seeing how Gears of War is coming to PlayStation, I can only now assume that Gears of War E-Day will come to PlayStation as well. Meaning I can still play the next generation of Gears of War games without having to buy another console. And even outside of Gears of War, if Gears of War is coming to PlayStation, I can only imagine that there might be PlayStation games going to Xbox. Can you imagine how many Xbox players have never played God of War? Or even Uncharted? Like, that's another game that I can see this happening with. I can see an HD remastered version of Uncharted going to Xbox Series X. This new move to PlayStation with these Xbox games opens up a whole window for other opportunities. Because remember, before Gears of War, I think it was earlier this year or late last year, Forza came to PlayStation. That was the first Xbox property to switch over. Now me, I was never the biggest Forza player, but for the people who played it mainly on Xbox, because that's where it was, I'm sure it was a huge deal for them going over to PlayStation. Throughout my lifespan, I've never seen something like that happen before. So between Forza and Gears of War, I can't see why other PlayStation properties can't go over to other consoles. And that kind of leads me into the other reason why I'm excited for this. I've noticed throughout the past damn near 10 years, I've noticed that the main PlayStation property that's really been pushed is God of War. And I get it because Kratos is basically the face of PlayStation. But with that being said, there's a lot of PlayStation games throughout like the early 2000s and early 2010s that are basically locked in a vault. Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, Uncharted, Infamous, Jak and Daxter, Crash Bandicoot. A lot of PlayStation All-Stars have just disappeared in favor of God of War. The last time we had an Uncharted game was like, what, 2016? The last time we seen Sly Cooper, that was 2013. And Lord knows where Crash Bandicoot is. I genuinely think they forgot that he existed. This could be a good opportunity for them to revive some of these older PlayStation games and ship them off to Xbox. You can't even play the original God of War games on the newest PlayStation consoles unless you're subscribed to PlayStation Plus. And I'm not paying $120 fucking dollars just so I can relive the memories of God of War 1 and 2. I love the games, but I'll just boot up my PS2 instead. I'm not doing all that. Matter of fact, you can just take the HD collection of 1 and 2 that they made for the PS3 and send them to Xbox. Same thing with the first two Infamous games. You can't play them on PS5 consoles, at least not outright. You have to subscribe to PlayStation Plus. In order for me to play them, I have to play them on my PlayStation 3. This whole console switch thing provides good opportunities for both parties for numerous reasons is what I'm trying to explain. Another thing that I like about Gears of War Reloaded, or Gears of War in general coming to PlayStation, is crossplay. When I play my Xbox, I don't really play the original Gears of War like that unless I'm, playing campaign or certain missions. I mainly play the Ultimate Edition. Unfortunately, if you're trying to play certain game modes and in certain ranks, they're not really accessible like that because everyone tends to mainly play either Team Deathmatch or Blitz. And even though it's the same game mode, technically, I'm going to include King of the Hill. Now that there's crossplay available for the newer Gears of War games coming over to PlayStation, that means an even wider variety of people that you can play with, which in turn will also mean shorter wait times for games. And me, I'm thinking about Xbox and PlayStation. I completely forgot that PC is included in this as well. Them wait times about to be non-existent. Now there are a couple things I want to talk about that I don't want to say that they're downsides, but there's just a couple negatives that I might have noticed. This is the Reloaded or the Ultimate Edition of Gears of War 1. That's what's coming to PlayStation. They didn't say anything about Gears of War 2 and 3. Gears of War 1 was a great story. It did the horror aspect a lot better than the third one and maybe the second. But as an overall story, I think Gears of War 2 is probably my favorite. It was the introduction of Horde mode, and as I said, the story I think was a little more darker in this one in comparison to the first one, mainly due to like the pursuit of Maria and the Thai incident. And that's not to say Gears of War 1 didn't have shocking deaths. Like, Kim was a shocking death, but I think that was overshadowed more by that being the official introduction of General Ram. Like, the Kim death scene, it was less of a, oh shit, our beloved teammate just died, and more so of a, damn, this General Ram dude is intimidating as hell moment. Or maybe you can consider it both. I don't know. I focus more on the Ram aspect than the Kim thing. But to get back on topic, I feel like to make this switch official, I think they're gonna test the waters out with the first game and then bring in the second and the third. Are they gonna make cinematic copies of the second and third one like they did the first one? I don't think so. I don't really see a reason to. Maybe the second, I don't know. But I can see them just releasing them as is onto the PlayStation networks. In those three only, anything between Judgment and 5 can stay on Xbox. Was Judgment as bad as people try to make it seem? Absolutely fucking not, but I don't think it's that good to the point where I would want to play it again on PlayStation 5. Now my next and I think final reason as to why I like this switch happening so much is because Xbox and PlayStation are the biggest consoles when it comes to gaming, in my opinion. Those are like the main consoles. So while it opens the windows up for both parties, I think it can open the window up for Nintendo. Now within the past 10 years of my life, I haven't really been that much into Nintendo games as I was when I was a kid. But when I look back at the Nintendo games that I enjoyed playing back then, like mainly on the GameCube, I would love to see those games on newer consoles. Mario Kart Double Dash, Luigi's Mansion, Super Mario Sunshine, or in a WWE aspect, the Day of Reckoning games. Because for the GameCube, the Day of Reckoning games, they were like the SmackDown vs. Raw for the GameCube. They weren't on PlayStation and Xbox. So if you didn't have a GameCube or currently an emulator, you weren't able to play it. I would love to see all those older GameCube and Wii games come forward in the newer generations of Xbox and PlayStation consoles. I'm tired of constantly having to switch between HDMI ports and consoles just to play these shits. They're kind of annoying. Now obviously this is going to take some time. All game companies aren't just going to say fuck it and give all their exclusives to their competition, because they still want to provide a reason for people to buy their consoles and their products. Especially Nintendo. Those greedy bastards, according to my homeboys who be playing Nintendos and shits, I think like the Switch is about to be crazy expensive. I actually seen a few articles on that shit. I think the Nintendo games are going to be like $80. So maybe I shouldn't have even included Nintendo. Those motherfuckers ain't giving up shit. The way it's looking, they on some EA Sports shit. They're not giving Microsoft nor Sony anything. But it would be nice if they did. Like, I'm gonna keep it real with you, man. I think the main reason why I want to see Nintendo involved in this so much is because as much as I love the GameCube, I gotta keep it real, man. That controller was ass. All Nintendo controllers are ass. GameCube, Nintendo 64, the Wii controllers, they were just sticks that you had to move in different directions for each hand to do different movements. Just mad fucking complicated for no reason. And I know I said that was going to be my last thing, but I just want to slip one thing in real quick. Another Xbox exclusive that I want to see come to PlayStation is Sunset Overdrive. Bro, you don't even fucking understand. I fucking love Sunset Overdrive. Like, I'm gonna keep it real with you. That was the main game that made me want to get an Xbox One back in like, what, middle school? Sunset Overdrive was the epitome of gaming, bro. Like, that's how you do a video game. I've been wanting to do a video on it for like, I think 2 years. I never got the chance to do it. And to be honest, it's mainly because I just don't like recording on Xbox. It's a whole process. It's way simpler to do on PlayStation. But that's like the main reason why I want to see that come to PlayStation. So it's easier for me to record and make a video on it. Also, I'm sure graphically it will look way better. But they were supposed to get a sequel that just never came out. But who knows, maybe they'll make a sequel and release the PlayStation. Or maybe they'll just make an HD version of Sunset and release the PlayStation. I don't know. What I'm saying is between Gears of War and Forza coming to PlayStation, anything is possible. You might see PlayStation games on Xbox games, you might see Xbox games on PlayStation games. Anything can happen, and hopefully you might, man, because I'm tired of buying newer consoles to fucking buying game consoles just so I can play the newest 2 or 3 game exclusives I plan on getting. Like, I'm gonna keep it real with you, the only reason I really considered getting a Series X or an S was, first it was Gears of War E-Day, and then it was South of Midnight. Those are the only 2 reasons I was really gonna get a Series S. Also to play whatever new Halo game comes out during the next generation, who knows. But that's all I got for y'all, man. That's my little opinion or theories on what's happening with Gears of War and PlayStation. Let me know if y'all agree or if y'all think differently. Is this a good move? Is this a bad move? I also, for the people who've been watching me, I'm sure y'all notice that this is probably shorter than the videos I normally make. I didn't want it to be too long. I know I normally do video game reviews, but to keep it real, before I started doing that, I mean, I was doing that, but I was also kind of doing videos like this where I'll give like my opinions on different video game news and shit. And it was a lot simpler to do, man. I think I'm gonna try doing these vids again where I give my opinions on different video games or video game news stories. Like theories in a way. They'll be shorter than the normal 30-minute videos, but I think I'll be able to push them out more. I'm trying to get back to doing both like how I used to. Nonetheless, as I said, that's all I got. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I appreciate y'all for watching this episode of Reggie TV, and I'll see y'all in the next one.